Howdy folks, welcome to WordPress St. Petersburg. This is our Year from Hell 2020, the annual year in review. We're going to be talking tonight about what do you want to learn this year. So with me tonight are Elaine Simmons and Travis Lopes. Jen Novak could not make it this evening, so it's just going to be the three of us. Everybody say howdy. We hope, say howdy.
Howdy?
Come on, Elaine. Howdy, howdy. There we go. Okay. We are... I know, pretty bad. We are WordPress St. Petersburg. We meet monthly on the first and third Tuesdays from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. online only. We are doing live stream only this year. Our meetup is at meetup.com, WordPress St. Petersburg. Our website is wptampabay.org. On our website, we have a Slack chat, Facebook group, and meetups. The very first links are actually all of our communication channels. So if you ever need to find someone for a WordPress job, if you have a WordPress question, if you need some help in St. Pete, drop on our Facebook group, drop in our Slack chat. All of it's there. We are also a member of the WordPress Tampa Bay Network, which is a group of loosely connected meetup groups across Tampa Bay. We have a meetup group in Tampa, one in Newport Richey, and one in Brandon, and of course St. Petersburg. Alrighty, so tonight we will be talking about some 2020 statistics. We had 17 meetups this year. 5 were in person, the rest were live stream. Come on, you. Well, that's not working too well. I know. There we go. We had 5 scheduled talks, and we had 12 Ask Us Anythings. And our average attendance was about 20 in person for our meetups we had in person, and about 12 to 30 online in our live stream. We didn't skip a beat. Our last live in-person event was March 3rd. We canceled the following meetup for election night on March 17th, and our next meetup on April 7th was our very first live stream. And it was a pretty successful live stream. If I have to say so for myself, except I can't talk today. Our scheduled talks through 2020. We started out the year with the St. Pete Year in Review 2019. We've done this every year since I've been running the WordPress St. Pete meetup. We pretty much every year get together and discuss how we did the prior year and talk about what we'd like to learn the upcoming year. We usually go around the room and ask every single person, what would you like to learn this year? And it's kind of a little harder to do with a meetup, but we had folks RSVP and asked them, but only a few people actually answered, so we'll work on that. Hey Sue, I see you down there in the green room. There's some cookies behind you on the counter. We'll bring you into the call very shortly when we open up for the live chat, okay? This isn't an Ask Us Anything, but we are going to be going around the group and asking what people want to learn, so we'll bring you in at that point. Our next talk was managing multiple WordPress sites. It was an open discussion and demonstration. We covered a lot of management stuff, how to do backups, the proper way to deploy, a lot of some pretty good high-level things, and I think it went over pretty well. It's on our YouTube, so you can actually watch it at any point in time you want to. Live streaming on a budget was our next talk. Getting started in live stream technology. That was an interesting conversation. I think it went pretty well. We did an advanced gravity forms workshop where Ask Me Anything was by Travis Lopes down there, and I mediated, and that went over really well. We had a lot of good people come on that one. And our last scheduled talk was a Gutenberg or Bust, where we revisited the block editor in WordPress and showed off some of the new things that were a lot more user-friendly than they had been before, and showed that it had actually gotten around quite a bit. Everything else we did was Ask Us Anything. We kind of canceled our scheduled talks about mid-year, mostly because we were all getting a little bit of online fatigue and didn't want to wear everybody out. So we will play that by ear this year. As far as right now, we can still meet twice a month. We're going to try it and see how it goes, and we will determine from there how we want to handle it. Okay? So, what do you want to learn in 2021? I'm going to go ahead and bring Sue in, and I'll pull us off into a little grid. Hey Sue, are you out there? Hey, Sue? Maybe not. Well, if she pops in, we'll catch her in a minute. So, what do you guys want to learn this year in 2021? Oh,
Oh,
there's Sue.
here's Sue.
Hey, Sue.
Yeah, I was just finding new buttons. I'm not real familiar with this particular interface,
No problem.
but the camera should be on.
It
We
Anyway,
could
is. We see
we
you.
could see you.
okay, thank you. What do I want to learn in 2021?
Hmm.
I want to know when they're going to stop doing core updates and I can take a breath. But
That's
mostly,
never going to happen.
I know. Uh,
Yeah.
but mostly, I'm going to take a look at the block editor this year
Okay.
and give up some page builders.
Which page builders do you currently use?
Elementor, a little. Most of our sites are custom. I own an agency,
Okay.
but we
Right,
use
right,
a
right.
lot. But I've been doing this for 22 years, so we've got a lot of Visual Composer.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
You know, everybody says that. That's okay. Okay.
Yeah, I say that primarily because I look at the HTML it generates, and that's my issue.
Yeah.
It's you're supposed
Well,
to
it's
simplify the DOM, and they're making the DOM really complicated.
it's shortcodes. You know, then we
Yeah, I
tried
know, but
Elementor. We tried Elementor. We decided that it was basically Gutenberg on steroids, and if we let Gutenberg build itself, then maybe that's something we should do. One of the universities here has moved their entire platform to Gutenberg,
okay,
and he runs the local meetup, and
right.
people seem to be happy with it. So I thought I'd
Oh,
give it a
you're not in Tampa, are you? You're in
no, not even close. I have
yeah.
visited St. Pete and loved it, and
Okay.
you just popped up in my meetups, and I've kind of trolled, sat in the background,
Trolling is
and
perfectly fine. Yep.
there's some smart people here, so I listen, so I visit.
Okay. Yeah. My big thing with I have the same issue with Elementor that I have with Visual Composer. The fact that there's not a single Visual Composer theme or actual plugin on the WordPress repo,
Right.
which means that their code is not being reviewed by the WordPress plugin group. That's huge. Elementor at least does have, I think Elementor has the basic on the WordPress repo, but it's nothing like their pro version. Um, and my biggest
It's
issue with Elementor is the it's short codeitis too. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing is Beaver Builder is like the new popular drug, and I'm trying to decide.
It was popular before, and then people all jumped over to Elementor, and when
Mhm.
Elementor started having a lot of kickback and a lot of issues, they were all jumping back to Beaver Builder
Every
because
time
Beaver
Elementor
Builder's
every time Elementor updates, it breaks your site. So
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
have a lot of faith in it. And we
yeah,
build business sites. I can't have that.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Which
I've
if
had
I
to
was
take it to the
building business sites, I would just be doing like meta boxes for everything and like control what data is being put in, so I'm like sure about what it is, and then I will build the styling out myself and populate that meta value in. Because then it doesn't, it gives it. Then you don't allow those businesses to change up the pages too much. It gives them boundaries to stay within, so the design is helpful.
yeah. I don't let when I had sites that were doing content, I don't let them edit anything visual. I just let them have the WordPress editor, and that's all they ever had. I don't mind giving them access to the block editor because within the confines of that article, it's okay to allow them to have some flexibility. But I'm the same way. I design the site to look good, and then I don't give them the access for all of that other stuff because you know as well as I do that users tend to be very bad about design.
Oh gosh, yeah, and they add plugins.
Yeah, and they add plugins left and right, and you don't want them to. So I've had pretty good luck with mostly just primarily using custom post types and fields, and working like as Travis says, doing meta boxes. But I use pods for most of my stuff, and we just have input screens. But I also don't do site designs that much anymore. My biggest issue I've been having is just every single time now when you do an update, even I'm on Flywheel and I can't trust just doing an update anymore of anything. I've got to do it on staging first and validate it before I do it, because there's almost always the case that something is going to break. Yeah, so I'm getting the lovely white screen of death, whether I want it or not.
Yeah.
So,
Staging
so
is
for
good.
you, we actually had someone else come up and ask about full site editing in Gutenberg. So probably having some good block editing talks wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe review some of the other. I know Generate Blocks, the guy that does Generate Press, the theme, created his own set of blocks, and they're simplified. They're like, instead of having 1,700 blocks like some of these block companies do, he has 5. And
Yeah.
they're designed to build on top of each other in an appropriate, logical way. So they're
Well,
like a container, a grid, a headline tool, and a button tool.
do you know Brigitte, who kind of led the 5.6?
Yeah, I know Birgit. Yeah, you mean
Yeah.
Birgit?
Yeah, all right. She's a German, right? Birgit. Okay. I
Yeah.
was doing a little bit of my high school French. Didn't work.
Yeah.
But anyway, she kind of told us, I've been to a couple of webinars that she led, that pretty much you can have Gutenberg, but you're either going to have to get or buy some tools that actually do things. And Gutenberg wants to go there, and they're starting to add things. And if the future is WordPress is going to allow other things but go to Gutenberg, then I think I need to have a foundation in it, because Visual Composer, we have a lot of sites. We have sites that are, go back 10 years with that.
Yeah, it's been around a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to either have to get new sites in a couple of years, because pretty soon you're not going to be able to turn off Gutenberg. That's kind of what they're saying.
Yeah. Well, there's going to become a point where the content is driven by all of those little connections and hooks.
I
And
got to take
it's
a
gonna-
call. I'll be back. I'm
Okay.
sorry, but I'm listening.
Okay, I'm going to drop you out for a bit then, while you're taking that, so you can have some privacy. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I mean, I don't mind putting block editors as one of the primary things on the list, and discussing, how Gutenberg interfaces with other plugins, and how I'd like to see if we can get Birgit on one of our calls, because she's been
That would
driving
be
that.
neat.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, she's been driving that focus for a while, and she's a good speaker. So yeah.
She showed up for the last Miami meetup that I was at, which wasn't the most recent one, which was right before Christmas that I did. In the end, I didn't make it, but it was the
Right.
one in November. She was there.
Yeah, the mega meetup. Yeah.
So she'll come, I think.
Okay, cool. I'll bring out the invitation. So, can't hurt. So, for you, Travis, I mean, because that's kind of that's one of those kind of questions that you have talked about before, how you would just handle building the theme and everything else yourself. And so, would you just basically throw Gutenberg out the window?
Before, yeah. But for the new gravitiforms.com site we're working on, we're going Gutenberg heavy. We're going to be building out
kinda
custom
have to.
blocks. Yeah.
Okay.
We're just more making a design system that we will build some blocks out of.
Right.
To
Now, are you going to be
empower our
looking at
marketing
the?
team to go nuts.
Yeah. Are you looking at creating like what do they call the? Okay, so there's blocks and then there's the gallery. Is it the? Because there's two different things. There's the one that's like you kind of save like reusable blocks, and
Yeah.
those are
Then
like
there's,
calls
like,
to
block
action that you
patterns.
just. Yeah, that's it. Block patterns. Yeah. So are you creating like block patterns for the marketing team, that sort of thing?
Probably. I honestly don't
Okay.
even fully remember what block patterns are. I haven't gotten that deep.
They're kind of like combinations of blocks that are not just one block. They do kind of like a whole set of things at once. And I know that's kind of the flow that a lot of folks are looking at instead. And you build it at the theme level, so that you can kind of define that this is what has to happen. I just know that
Like
for
we're-
me, go ahead. Yeah.
We're kind of taking a 2-track approach to it. So we have Carl, he's building out this like static versions of the design, and I'm working on back end stuff, like kind of getting like
Okay.
data architecture and that kind of thing going. And then once the static design is built out, we're going to sit down and look at like, okay, what are the potential blocks here? Out of those blocks, what are we just doing in core that's just going to be like have a little nice styling around it, and what's actually custom? But even making sure, like taking a look at some pages, like we might have a nicely designed landing page that we know is not going to change and has some custom elements on it. So we're just going to make it static. We're not even going to bother trying to like build in Gutenberg. Because why bother? Like if it's going to stay the same, there's no point.
Yeah, I mean, all you're doing is filling in the fields that need to change based on a custom block or something, or a custom field and stuff like that. I get you. So like you would be basically creating like probably a sets of kind of different sets of like landing pages depending on the product or the particular advertising launch or whatever, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. Okay.
And some stuff is
Now-
going to remain as like our add-on directory will still just be powered off, not Gutenberg, but it'll be just post types with meta fields in it, so that way we can control the flow of the data better. Especially because like we'll be enabling that with an API to connect to products and stuff. So still some
Gotcha.
like old approach.
Okay.
Where it makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Now, I'm kind of against the whole concept of block libraries, that thing, because to me it's just like adding hundreds more block plugins, because that's what block libraries pretty much are. It's just more plugins, but just inside the block library instead.
It's all about being, and I think that's going to be some of this, like how we approach it, is just being more creative about how to use the core blocks.
Yeah.
Like not everything. You don't need necessarily reinvent the wheel for everything.
No.
You know?
Well, that's all that. That's pretty
But
much
some
all
people-
that generate blocks did. Yeah.
Yeah. And some people like can't do that. Some people like need the thing that they can purely just click on this block
Yeah.
type.
And it's a
put it in.
pricing table. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or here's a testimonial, or here's a this.
Which for us,
I
like
like the approach.
something we're gonna do is like, so we have like our 3 pricing tiers: basic, pro, and elite. We're gonna make a custom post type that's product offerings that can be attached to those pricing tiers, and then we'll have a Gutenberg block that you can like drop in a pricing or a product module, and you can choose like your orientation and like what parts of features, and you can override some of those product stuff. But it'll be a way for us to like insert purchase buttons and stuff, while still having all the data centralized. So like say
That
like
makes
we want to
sense.
like push a coupon out to the whole site,
Yeah.
you just update the product post type and you're done.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a lot of people would just use the reusable block for some of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, but because that's what you do, the reusable blocks is set up like one call to action, and it automatically changes it on the entire site because it's.
But
in
like
one space.
if you take the post type approach, we can do stuff like, I want to set up a discount that applies against these products in this window. So like you could set up a Black Friday discount that automatically turns on, turns off. You couldn't do that with a reusable block.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna add Sue back in. Welcome back, Sue.
Hello, thank you.
Hi. No problem. Yeah, we were just discussing a whole bunch of different block approaches, so you can catch it on the video after the fact.
It's my daughter's birthday.
Oh,
So
happy
we had-
birthday.
We had to go sing. Well,
I
you know, there's
understand that
course.
completely. Yeah.
a lot of miles there, a lot of miles.
Yeah. So we have 5 people watching the stream, but no one is saying anything. There's Jason Roberts. Hi, I'm new. Don't mind me. So we're gonna. Okay, Jason. What would you like to learn about in WordPress or entrepreneurship this year? There. I asked that in the chat. Okay, because we don't have anything else. That was pretty much it. I know for me, block editing would be not a bad thing. How do you guys feel about doing something as far as, I mean, I don't know if this is something to discuss or not. Oh, Nichelle, get your butt in here, girl. Let me add this little banner to the bottom of the page. Hang on. I need to get the invite code again. Sorry, guys. Copy to clipboard. Oops. Wrong one. Hide. Edit. I'm I'm just going to say join the call. There we go. And hey, Nichelle. Join the call. There you go. All right. We can have 10 people on the call at once, so there's no reason not to just go ahead and do it at this point. Oh, she starts in Facebook. Anyway, so Jason says, I'm working with themes and widgets to handle my designs and capabilities, but I'm looking to learn more about security also. We haven't done a security talk in a long time. So we wouldn't be a bad idea to bring that back up again, especially with a lot of people working from home.
Right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of
Yep.
the hackers are super busy out there.
They're working overtime.
Two-factor authentication.
Yes.
Start there.
Everything that you can. Start with two-factor authentication on pretty much everything you can. And it protects so much. So, I love it. I use it for pretty much all of my email accounts or my Google accounts. And I definitely use it for anything I possibly can. Bank. So,
We force it on our clients. I just turn
good
it
for
on.
you. Yeah. Teach them.
We've over the years we've gone to the fact that using one brand helps make your site secure. There's a lot of security tools out there, but if you stay with one brand, you don't have things that conflict with each other.
Right.
So
who do you use?
We use iThemes because I've been an iThemes user forever. Kind of like
Yeah.
if you got into Beaver Builder when it was new, you spent like $100 a year and you had 1 million licenses. And with
Right.
iThemes, we have a very low price and we get Backup Buddy and iThemes security and a little bit of sync. And it's just once you learn how to use it, you can export your settings and import them into the next site. So
No, that
it's
sounds to me.
yeah, I like it. There are lots of good brands. That's just the one we use.
Gotcha.
I think I might be the only one on this call to have never installed a security plugin
Ever?
ever.
Do you build websites for clients like businesses?
Yeah.
Hey,
Never use
Michelle,
it.
we're bringing you in. If you can hear us.
I'm kind
You're
of
on mute at the moment,
surprised.
Michelle.
I can.
Oh, good. I know you don't have your camera on because it's just the way you are. I don't blame you. If you don't want to have the camera on, you don't have to. So, Nichelle, meet Sue. She's from, is it New Mexico? There's Nichelle.
No, North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I used to build client sites, but I stopped doing it a while ago too. Mine was just mostly how expensive it became to run a company like that after a while, and not you scale up and you start charging the clients and you get better clients because of that, but you run into that whole situation of that. Then you've suddenly got to deal with clients, and I stopped wanting to deal with clients.
Yeah, that's my job. We don't let clients talk to programmers. I'm the interface. You can't. You just can't. You'll lose your programmers. They go crazy. And two of mine have been down with COVID issues in their families or themselves. Yeah, and just trying to get a website launched is we launch a bunch at the end of the month, and boy, everybody. And then it was Christmas, so they were busy. But we had some illness.
Yeah, I think it takes a certain kind of person to be an agency person. It really does. Because, I enjoy customer service and I enjoy working with people, but it's one thing to do support and it's a completely other thing to deal with people that are actually paying you to do something. And
It's a completely other thing to deal with people telling you, hey, here's when we want the project launch, and then near the end they come in with a truckload of changes and they still think it's going to change on the same time.
There's a guy named Nathan Ingram, and
yeah, we know him. I know him. He's spoken at
Nathan-
our WordCamp campus a couple of times.
Oh yeah, Nathan is. He and I are kind of offline friends, and we talked about contracts and stuff. You know, he's got a whole business with monster contracts, but there are some things that we had in our 22-year-old contracts that he put in his, and some that he's got. He's very about last minute changes and all that kind of stuff. He's got a lot of tools to work with that. That would be an interesting how to I'm sure we talk about it all the time, but managing client expectations and late content.
Late content. That wouldn't be a bad idea. We did a talk on contracts about not last year, but the year before last, and it was actually really good. And I theme a lot of my stuff because I had taken his iThemes class on contracts, and I had built on my own because I had used a lot of the same templates and kind of built on those. And my whole thing was being very human readable in the contracts, but every single time I've been burned, I always added a clause to handle never getting burned like that again. And we've done a talk way back on clients from hell, which was his talk that he did as well.
Clients can do stuff that none of us ever even imagined they might do.
Yeah.
They managed to come up with stuff. I mean, it just stuns me. My husband's an IP lawyer, and he wrote our contracts. And every couple of months, I go back to him and say, okay, client just did this, and let's put a clause in for that. And we put in one that said if they don't get us their content by this date, we put the project to bed, and it costs you $500 for us to take it out.
Yeah,
and
I do. I put an expiration clause in. All projects have an expiration date, and it's the same thing as if it goes into a dead zone because of the client not working. That expiration clause comes into effect. The contract dies, and has to start all over again.
Oh, really?
I don't even let them restart it for $500. I make them restart the whole thing because that, to me.
Have you ever had to enforce that?
Yep, I did. Guy, it wasn't his fault, and so I kind of gave him a little bit of a leeway, but he had a kidney disease and he went on dialysis, but he came out of it and he was back at work and doing all kinds of things, and his business was back in business, but he wasn't allowing the project to continue. And I said, we have an expiration date in your clause, and I'm enforcing it right now. I'm billing you for everything. I'm billing you for everything that we've done at this point, and you have to start all over again if you want to do this again.
How much time is before you have a project expire? How much dead time?
It depends on the contract, honestly. If they have, from their side of the viewpoint, if they've been pushing it forward like really fast, I did give no more than 3 months at the end of turning over content. So if I'm at a point where, any of the points where I would typically hand the thing over to them and I need stuff from them, it's 3 months. If I don't hear from them in 3 months, that contract's dead.
Wow.
And
I definitely think $500 to restart the project is too low.
Yeah.
I would definitely make it a percentage, maybe at least 10%, or $500, whichever one is more.
500 seems to scare our clients.
It doesn't scare a lot of the ones I was dealing with. That was the problem I had. For him, it was pretty much one of those. It was like, listen, I have done all this work to set yourself up. This is where I need the content now. You've touched none of it.
Did he ever come back and re-up the contract?
Nope. Never did. Kept saying he was going to. He'd call. He would be one of those. He was the ninja client. I called him the ninja client because he would come out of nowhere and drop in and suddenly try to drop in 1 day before the end of the expiration. And I would call him back and say, you're 1 day before the expiration of the clause. He said, I understand. And I said, well, you have to provide content today. If you don't, that clause goes into effect and we're done.
Wow.
I think it doesn't scare away those customers because they don't think that will be enforced.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
Yeah,
why you
we
got to
will-
be firm with that stuff. That's the important part. It's
Yeah,
if
we
you
will
say-
give a-
Mine
a
is I
lot
don't
of-
really want that client anyway. If they're going to let it go that far, I mean, it's the one thing. If you have life issues and you have to expire a contract, that's one thing. But if you are honestly just shopping around or whatever, and you get to that point, you don't care. You obviously don't care.
How do you handle maintenance?
When I did it, that was a hard one. I always did. What do you call it? What's the word? Like the lawyers do. You have they give
Retainers.
you give retainers. Thank you. I did retainer contracts. I would get money every month, no matter what. They'd have a guaranteed number of hours as part of that retainer, and then we had a designated rate that I was guaranteed work for them at a lower rate as long as they paid the retainer. If they didn't pay the retainer or if they did last minute, the rate was double. Or they went back to my established go rate.
Do you host them or did they host everywhere?
No, I didn't. I never host anybody. I never did. The only time I did, I actually ended up deleting the person's entire account because they tried to steal it. They tried to steal their content, and I had to delete the site. So I won't ever do. I will never host again. Yeah.
it's an
Jim.
unnecessary burden. Sorry, Michelle.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just
We
going
have
to
a guy who does our updates. We do
Go ahead,
annual
Michelle.
contracts.
Yeah, I was just going to say, going back to the earlier part of the discussion with managing through clients and then also with expiration date, I think maybe a topic of discussion for us in this year is to also talk about how do we incorporate methodologies that would allow us to manage that, to manage scope creep. If you're an environment that's using agile, you can clearly define using Scrum, using the Scrum methodology, you can clearly define versus what waterfall, which allows scope creep to happen more often than not, or even if you have to do some type of hybrid model. So I guess that would be I think that could be a definite topic of discussion for us to have.
Yeah.
And especially that's something we can approach both for if you're doing agency client work and if you're just doing normal, like within a company, product work. It applies
Correct.
both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. I had to put that in the chat so I would remember it.
No worries.
Yeah.
I foresee a lot of panels this year.
Yeah, I think a panels is not a bad idea. We kind of like talk about possibly like how dealing with client issues, especially in this remote world that we're in now. That's probably changed quite a bit. So, I mean, so you're probably dealing with that too, aren't you? Like most having to deal with more remote clients and not being able to meet with them directly.
Well, we've always had remote clients.
Okay.
We're Zoom users before Zoom was famous. We tried a couple others, but we build sites. My team is pretty much nonprofits experts, and nonprofits every coast. That we've got nonprofits all over the world. In town, it's not. We have several sites locally, but we've been doing online meetings forever. People seem to like them, and nowadays. Before Zoom fatigue hit everybody, it's a fabulous way to record something and send it to them. Here's how you make a new page. We did this 4 times, but here's a video. Or here's how you do all the little pieces and parts of a post. And like I told you, you will forget what an excerpt is, but you really want to use it. And those little 5-minute videos, I can send them to multiple people, the same video. So we just have a little library of videos, and people can go, watch them whenever they want.
Speaking of nonprofits, how do you deal with the extremely limited budget of nonprofits, or the fact that so many of them are constantly of the whole viewpoint that they want everything for free, But
Oh,
they
gosh,
realize
yes.
that but they have to realize that having a website and having that vehicle for getting your message across and collecting donations is a necessary part of your business. And it needs to be budgeted and it needs to have a grant for it.
We do give nonprofits some considerations. We do once a year a thing called an extreme nonprofit makeover, and we work with the nonprofit professional group. Well, it's a consortium, and foundations give them a grant. And I've got 10 companies, and we do this extreme makeover. Website's one piece of it. All the foundation grants go to buying hardware. And we have a team that does computers and a team that does Google Analytics. Anyway, so with all of that, I kind of feel like we've done our nonprofit donation for the year. And
Yeah.
so we do talk to them about getting grants and reasonable prices. We will let them pay it off if they pay it on a credit card, and we just do an automatic charge. And for them, sometimes we nonprofits' fiscal year is June 30th. So we'll bill some of it in this year and some of it in the next year. June 30th, July 1st, that works really well with nonprofits. But we tell them, here's, what we're going to do. Here's our contract. Here's our price. Go get another price. Go ask somebody else. And it comes back at like half again as much as what we ask them for. So, we have to make a profit. But
Yeah.
we cut it a little bit for now. But then again, if they talk to me for 20 minutes, they're going to sign because I know where every free thing for every nonprofit is.
That helps.
And, and we'd start talking to them about, they didn't know about Google for nonprofits, and they didn't know 365 was free, and they didn't know about TechSoup,
we're involved with TechSoup as well. There's a group called Tampa Tech for Good, and we've done a hackathon with them on an annual basis every year up until this year. We didn't do it this year because of the pandemic, and just timing wise it didn't work out. But we were going to do one. We were in discussions to do one, and of course all of this hit, and we probably want to do it again. So it sounds kind of like your extreme makeover. So
yeah, we used to do that on site. This year it got a little crazy, but we had to do all the photographs outside, but it's a lot of fun. We do a lot of. There's a group totally unrelated to nonprofits, and I don't want to talk politics, but there's a group called Tech for Campaigns. I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but they get people like me. I'm a front-end WordPress user. I'm not a programmer, but I can provide help to a hyper-local candidate who's got some WordPress site somewhere. And you volunteer, started by a bunch of Silicon Valley people on their own time. And it's totally volunteer. And they hook me up with some candidates in cities near me, but I don't know these people. And mostly it's just help them with their website, like get a Facebook feed on this widget on the site and clean up this and make it a little nicer. And I always count how many I win. So my team did an even dozen this year, and we won on 9. So I thought that was a pretty good percentage. But some of these are hyper local.
Yeah.
There's city councils and.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with those. Those are the ones that a lot of those do a lot of the most moving and shaking anyway.
Well, it's how people take over legislatures. So
yeah.
If anybody's interested, you can Google Tech for Campaigns, and they have a lot of opportunity depending on your skills as to what you can offer. I mean, I don't program, so I don't do that. So anyway, that's just an interesting thing.
Cool. Well, we aren't getting anybody else coming up with any ideas. At least I'm not seeing anything in the comment threads.
I can talk all day, so I'll be quiet.
Oh, I know. So can we. We can. We do this a lot.
I'd like to talk about WordPress.
Jim,
I'll go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
I think
I asked somebody, I was having a problem with the site. And I said
We're
to
getting
this,
hang on, Sue. Hang on a second. We're getting Michelle wanted to speak, but we're
oh,
getting a
good.
feedback loop from somewhere. Sorry.
I'll mute
um,
myself so she can talk.
Jim, I was just going to say that Sue brought up an interesting thing. So maybe, I don't know if we covered this before, and please forgive me. Maybe a topic is how to build a knowledge base.
Oh,
Um,
no, we've
because
never talked about that.
yeah, and she talked about, I think we may have talked about it in discussions with like what Gravity Forms has, just in general. But,
Yeah.
she talked about also about the videos. So maybe that's another topic is like how to build a knowledge base. Are you going to do it presentation style or with a 3 minute video tip or something like that? That I think that can help people as well.
Sound from. I'm asking some questions in the chat for just a second here, because part of the issue with StreamYard is you've got to actually be listening to the sound from StreamYard and not from YouTube or Facebook.
How do I know what I'm listening to it from?
Well, in your browser window, where are you on a Mac or a PC?
PC.
Okay, I think PCs do the same thing, but you should have like the little audio icon on the tab, up in the little like where your fave icon would be.
Yeah.
Okay, it'll be on the tab where StreamYard's loaded, and that should be where your audio is coming from. If you have it from there, that's great. If you've also got a YouTube window, that's where you get the loops and the bad sound.
Okay, I'm going to have to go anyway in a couple of minutes, but this is,
Okay.
thank you for,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, we'll be meeting again in 2
chatting
weeks,
with
so
me. I'll look
yeah,
for
come
the
back
email.
in to ask us anything. I have ideas. I've definitely taken out a lot of your ideas, and I would love to have you back. I think for a scheduled talk one of these times, because I think you definitely have some stuff to say. We could have you on a panel. So.
I can talk about anything for a long time.
All right.
Thank you all
right.
very much.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank you, Sue.
Bye-bye.
You have a good one.
You too.
Okay, Michelle, go ahead. You were talking about knowledge base, creating a knowledge base.
Yeah, I was, just her comments and then just knowing some of the discussions we had in the past, how to build a knowledge base might be a good topic, especially when I know in some of our presentations, we do a lot of demonstration of how to do things when we have our open talks. So I think that might be a good thing too, how to do 5
Well, we've been running into it a lot on the Ask Us Anythings, where we just answer the question, and we haven't been doing demos as much. And we need to go back to actually showing how to do the thing, because you're right, we're getting kind of lax on our
well, and not just us. I'm even thinking about those people who are considering running a business or building sites and turning them over. How do you? Most big companies have some type of knowledge base, so how can they create their own and present themselves as professionals or the authority in what they're what they're doing?
Well, and wouldn't that also work as far as like posting like content, how-to content and stuff on your site as well?
But I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people who aren't necessarily content people get intimidated by it because they're like, well, I'm a developer. I can build it for you, but how do I make or keep something small, concise, and tight? Like she said, the demo. How Microsoft do, this is Excel. You want to do this piece of Excel, chop it up and just do this piece on it, So I think that might be an opportunity for us.
Well, I know I used to use, when I did do a lot more sites on a regular basis, I used, it was like a WordPress documentation library, but they had videos or video user manuals. That's what it was. It was WordPress video user manuals that showed you how to do a post, how to, do all the little pieces. And I would include that and as a part of the documentation of my sites. And I always showed them how to create a post and how to edit content and where they needed to edit the basic pieces of their content. And that's,
Yeah.
but I also stripped sites down to the bare minimum so that they didn't see anything but the things they needed to see. And I
Yeah.
think that wouldn't be a bad thing to talk about either. How
Yeah.
to client-proof your site, maybe? How to client-proof
Yeah.
your site? Does that
Yeah,
sound
and
right?
then also think about, how you guys, I don't know if you're still on that side of the house, but when you were doing the real tech support for Gravity Forms and how
Yeah.
you would direct, a customer say, hey, I can't do this. How would you redirect the customer to the knowledge base to get them the information they need? So
Yeah.
they
Well,
get comfortable with that.
we have actually talked about that because as part of our support meetings, that's one of the things we actually discuss is we talk about how instead of just giving them the answer or throwing out the code, is that try to take your reply in your support reply and make it a teaching moment.
Right.
And see if you can actually turn that customer into so that they actually learn something so that they don't have to come back to you again for
Yeah,
it.
and it keeps frustration down too, because
Yeah.
once what they said, once you can fish for yourself, you'll never go hungry. And it's the same type of
Yeah.
thing. Once you learn how to search for it in the knowledge base, you'll know, oh, first let me go to the knowledge base, or your customers
Yeah.
will learn, first go to the knowledge base. And then if I can't, that become your tier 1 support. And then if I can't, then tier 2 would be to contact the webmaster directly and say, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm trying not to look at your TV, Michelle.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I got
No,
MSNBC on.
I know. I tried not to look at it. No, just turn it. Get it out of the screen.
Maggie is talking right now.
No, get it out of the screen. I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Well, only 1% is in, so it's nothing to report.
Okay. All right, cool.
They're just talking. They're yapping right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Well, I'm still getting a feedback loop from somewhere. I don't know where from, though.
you know what? It could be me.
Are you in StreamYard as an app, and then you've also got YouTube or Facebook open?
No, I think it's more my computer than anything because we have feedback issues at work as well. So I think it's because I'm in StreamYard, but I think it's actually my
Let me turn
PC.
off. It might be edit mic settings. I can't edit your mic settings. Just turn them off. Unmute yourself for a second.
Okay.
Okay, hang on. Let me turn
Do you have
off
headphones in?
echo cancellation. Nope.
Might be it.
Now it's my echo cancellation's on for you, so it should be stopping that, but it doesn't seem to be working for yours. So yeah. Okay, no problem. I think it's all right. We're still fine.
I think.
Can you guys think of
approaching-
anything else that you guys would like to learn this year? Elaine?
Well, I got an email about some kind of pods update, an official pods email with new something, and I haven't read it yet, but I was just going to say, is there anything
You
new
want
about
me to do a pods class?
You might
I mean,
as well.
I can
It's
talk about it.
2021.
I could bring Scott on and have him do one. He's created Pods Pro, which is a money-making effort for some additional parts of Pods. But so now there's Pods, which is the free product. There's the Pods donation model, which is Pods Friends of Pods, which still pays for the free product. And then there's Pods Pro, which is specifically to pay for the pro offerings. So
What are the pro offerings?
it's in that email. They're
All right, I got to read the email.
probably not a lot of stuff that you're going to be using. I mean, based on what you and I've talked about before, probably not a lot of stuff you might be using. The one that you might would be the advanced permalinks, that kind of stuff. Basically, there's a plugin out there called Custom Post Type Permalinks, that's it, Custom Post Type Permalinks. And what Scott has done has moved a lot of that functionality into the Pods Pro Advanced Permalinks plugin. It allows you to do more SEO-friendly permalink structures
Nice.
for custom post
That's
types
nice.
and taxonomies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff for builders. Like he's got an entire builder's toolkit, and he's doing a lot of very specific block editor stuff. and Elementor stuff and Divi stuff and all that. So
Uh,
all of that's in the advanced toolkit.
okay.
The blocks are not. The blocks are in the primary product. 2.8 is supposed to be out pretty shortly. So I'm not as involved with all this stuff as I should be, just because I don't have time. So
Sure.
yeah, it's one of those kind of things with Gravity Forms. It gets busy. How about you, Michelle? How you been doing in the business analyst world?
Don't ask.
Don't ask.
It's-
Don't ask. Okay.
No, it's things are going well. Things are shifting for me at work, so I'm kind of in this in between loop right now where we brought in new staff, and I'm training up the person who is kind of backfilling me, managing the backlog and all of those things. And I'm transitioning more to a project management business on the business project manager for the business.
Nice.
And working with them on some major initiatives, but I just have to get my head around and accept that this is a change for me, and it's a good change. It's one of those things you're so used to doing something for so long, and you sit and you're comfortable in it, even though you want to change.
Mm-hmm. No, I know what you mean. Believe me, I know exactly what you mean. I would love to not have to do anything but do teaching videos. And work maybe this amount of time of I decided that I love 4-day weekends. I absolutely love 4-day weekends. I think every week should be a 4-day weekend.
And I agree with that. I'm a take Monday off person. I prefer to take Mondays off because you can go into the weekend, stretch it into Monday, and then you can start. Whereas a lot of people like to take off Fridays, and I think everything gets jammed because everybody's like, you're going to be leaving, but if they know you're there through Friday, it gets done. And then
I would agree with you on that one. It definitely does happen. Well, maybe you could take Friday and Monday off. They're going to make a 4-day weekend. But
you know what? And I was lucky this Christmas because they gave us Christmas Eve. Christmas was on a Friday. And then I had 3 float days I had to use this year. So I actually technically took a week off because I took off that Wednesday till Tuesday. And because the weekend was in there, it felt like a real week off. So that worked out. But because I told my boss, I was like, I needed the brain break. I didn't even call it a mental break. I needed the brain break. My brain just needed time to sit in all the craziness that happened this year and all of the projects and things that we went through this past year. It was like I just needed that actual hard stop and not to think about anything related to work.
No, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I know for me, having a 4-day weekend, I don't dread Monday. That's the one difference. I really like having that Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day on on Thursday and Friday, and also Thanksgiving and Friday, that kind of thing. Having that weird little block like that, I didn't dread Monday at all. I really didn't. And
especially on the back half of the year, you was like, I'm only going to be working 3 days a week anyway.
They go, woohoo! Well, that's what I mean. Is like I'm sitting there going, how can I manage to take a 4-day weekend every week? I don't think that's possible, but it'd be really nice. I guess if I worked 10-hour days, 3 days a week, that'd be 30. No, not quite. No,
it still wouldn't work because they'll still be calling you to try to figure out, hey Jim, how do we answer this support question?
Yeah, I just think
Honestly,
I'm thinking about. Go ahead, Travis. Yeah.
I kept working through the breaks. It was just a nice thing of there's no meetings on my schedule. Like I have my day.
Yeah.
Like I can just crush it.
You can do real work.
Yeah. It's nice.
That's the worst thing about having support when you've got a queue, is that the queue comes first and the queue has to be worked. So.
Yeah.
And the queue
That's
never
how
ends.
It's like. Yeah, our customer care team has discovered Teams now, and especially we're in this environment. So a lot of times I'm like, okay, I just talked to you about this 2 days ago. Come on. So, and that's why I think the transition for me from support to projects is going to be much better because it's less frustration of that. I'm actually going to be just shepherding things through and getting things and then getting implemented. you
Well,
know.
and you're also the kind of a project manager that's not going to have endless meetings just for the sake of having them, which
Yeah,
is what PMP teaches you to do, which I've always hated. So
yeah. No,
I
well,
think
and
that is
that's the good
PMP,
thing.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but and that's
Isn't
the
that the
thing about agile, because I work with so much of the development team, I have to be agile, and they're very much just 30 minutes less. Get in, be concise, because we got to work, and then we
yeah.
can turn it back over to you, and then and then once that's done, we can move to the next thing. And that's why I was saying about the methodology discussion, because I think that's for a lot of people who are not in a structured corporate environment like that, having
Especially
those
now.
methodology, yeah, will help with some of those things.
Well, I know it's changing a lot, and they've talked about this a lot of times on NPR too. Is that there's that whole we overuse the word work life balance, but
Hmm.
this, if anything, pandemics teach us that they kind of overhaul the world, and it's
Hmm.
usually something good comes out of the other side of it because it is such an upheaval. And this one, more than anything else, has provided that viewpoint of yes, employees can work from home and you can trust them to do so. And
Hmm.
yes, students can actually work on their own without having to be looking at them every single second of the day. And yeah, you need structure, yes, but they also need to have some time to sink it in, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, it's
And
interesting
it
you
helps to
brought.
have your parents there because when it all comes down to it is like having your parents not be a helicopter parent, but actually be a live, honest to God connection to your kids, and
Yeah,
their and
it
their
and I that depends. I have educators in my family, and my aunt, she is the business teacher at the high school right now, and it's 50-50 for her. And because and she's not even teaching the core classes, she's teaching your business education classes. And
right.
one of the things that she talks a lot about, and I think it's more so easier to do with high schoolers because they want more autonomy, so and they're beginning to
Mm,
transition, so they'll be going to college, and colleges are half of the courses on colleges now are online. So I think for
right.
high schoolers it work a little bit easier, but for little people, especially those in
Yeah.
the kindergarten, that elementary age group,
Yeah.
first time in school, uh, they're used to being in front of the computer, but they're used to being in front of the computer 5 minutes, drop it, and then move off. Or I
Yeah.
come back 10 minutes, drop it, move off. And you can't do that when you're first learning how to learn or receive instruction. And so
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it depends on where you're at. And then for lower income areas, that's not necessarily true because the
Right.
kids zone out, type of thing. But I know for me, what I appreciate as somebody have the capacity to work from home is the 2 hours a day that I get back in commute time, or the
Yeah.
hour I get back in commute time. Because now, instead of having to, well, it is 2 hours, instead of having to get up, get dressed, 2 hours ahead of schedule, take that drive in, then get to work, and then do the same thing going back. You don't have that hassle anymore. So there's
Right.
actually an extra hour and a half for me to do a better job of having work life balance.
Hmm.
But I'm one of the lucky ones. It's just me.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, this is going to point out that there, that internet or good high speed internet has to be part of infrastructure. It has
Yeah,
to be. It
yeah,
can't be something that is an afterthought.
yeah.
Um, that we've realized now, and that telehealth works
Yeah.
in some
Well, for
situations, and
simple
in some
things, yeah.
yeah,
For the very simple things, you're absolutely right. I think it's unfortunate that there's still very much rural parts of America where they're still on dial up,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and that type of thing. But you brought up an interesting point. Also, the CEO from the company Snowflake was on MSNBC, and he talked about how a lot of companies, not just from the employees, but the cost savings of not having to have people in a building, that
mm,
companies may go to more of a headquarterless type of
yeah,
business model, and having people not to come in. and
Well,
things
you
like
were
that.
at Bank of America when I was at Bank of America, weren't you? So were you in Charlotte?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Do you remember the oh God. I never got to actually go there and see it, but I saw the pictures of it, and it was like this fishbowl remote, shared office space thing, and it was all pretty and all that kind of thing, and none of us ever got to use it.
Hmm.
Only the executives ever got to use it. Yeah,
Hmm.
it was all highfalutin, but it was like none of the actual people that needed it got to use it. We
You,
were thrown in
yeah,
closets. Yeah, when I had to
yeah.
go to use a shared office, I got thrown in a closet to use it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where the other company, what is it, Regis? I think a lot of industries are blamming on to that. Nobody, we have shared space now. Like, wasn't WeWork supposed to be a part of
Yeah,
that
WeWork was
model
supposed to
of
be that. Yeah.
part of that shared space? And then there's another one that's called Regis where you share, you sign up to go into the office. Like if you had to meet with people, you can
Hmm.
reserve a room for the day
Yeah.
or whatever, or you had a place where your official business mail can go to,
Right.
that type of
Yeah.
thing. And even I have family that's on the restaurant side of the business, and that's the other thing about like food trucks. You have to
Hmm.
have a kitchen, a commercial kitchen. And now there
Yeah.
are a lot of places that are doing that shared commercial kitchen type of a
Yeah. That
concept
took
as
off
well.
really. That took off huge, because you're right.
Yeah,
Because you have to have the food truck for delivering the food and warming up the food or whatever, but you can't make all of it there. You have to do your
exactly.
prep work and everything else at a shared kitchen or a physical kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And you
and
also
so
have to have gray water disposal and that kind of thing, and that's
yeah.
the
So
shared
the
kitchens are
meat
for
health
that
code,
too.
yeah, the meat state health code requirements, you had to have these
Hmm.
things in place. And I think that's what the new world order is going to be. So they're talking about it in the sense of retail, but it's happening in other industries too.
Mm.
Which is going to be really interesting. I follow the stock market to see how major commercial real estate um, businesses like JLL and
Hmm.
CBRE and Cushman and Wakefield, how they deal with that. That there are going to be
Oh, that's
less
right, because they're not
people.
going to be able to sell like office spaces anymore.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
And
because
then
they
what
made
happens?
fortunes on those build outs and stuff like that. Like, oh my God, when Bank of America would come in and they'd buy a building and they'd just make, ooh, let's just
Yep,
redecorate every single floor for you and let's make some money, 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 money.
yep. And it was interesting. You should say that because in a way, in Charlotte, um, there was a it was the Mass Mutual building. It was one of the older commercial buildings, and instead of them revamping it for office space, they retooled it to be high-end luxury condos. They left the shell of the building. Yeah, they
Yeah.
basically left the shell of the building exactly the same. They just went
Uh
in
huh.
and redid the interior. They went to the studs on the interior and redid it. And
Wow.
so it was like an exclusive building of these high-end like $1 million condos. And so it'd be
Wow.
interesting to see how some of them deal with that changeover, if they're going to go to that
Yeah.
space, because that's what they're doing with a lot of the old malls. They're
Yeah.
retooling
Well,
them
they could
for
turn
apartments.
those. They could turn those buildings and put in like actual food spaces and stuff on the first floors and things like that, and it
Mm-hmm.
becomes a self-contained thing. So,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take up the conversation.
No, no, no. That was honestly that's a good stuff because I mean all of the stuff is usable. Is how I look at
Um,
it. Jason dropped a question in there about some good points about tech. I was wondering how many of the panel runs or partners to run their own WordPress sites. What are they own agencies and what is preferred marketing to get new clients? I think Jason, we're probably going to end up doing a lot of panel discussions. So what I'm going to be looking at is our schedule and see how do we feel about doing twice a month. We'll try it out for a while, and if it wears everybody out, we'll thin it down some. But I think we'll do is actually take like instead of a scheduled talk, we may make it a panel discussion, and actually throw it up as something like this, because we're actually getting some really good, interesting discussion out of this. It's almost like a podcast or a radio show. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I do have a kind of non-WordPress, but a legit question. Do any of you guys know a resume writer?
Oh, Uh,
A good
No.
resume writer.
I used to, and now I'm trying
I
to
did
think.
same here. I used to as well. I used to do it, but yeah, I don't know how to do it now because now it's so different because I don't know if you've worked in HR recently. You know what? Jen's a good person to reach out to. Jen
Yeah,
Melvin.
Okay.
she might now. Yeah.
Yeah, reach
Okay.
out to Jen directly, and because she's got an HR director, she's got an MBA in HR, but
Okay.
it's changed. HR has changed so much because of the way
Right.
that everything is automated and all resumes are scanned in, and there's a format, and they look for very specific things. So
Yeah.
it's not like it used to be where you made this gorgeous resume and it was like, ooh, I like the way that one looks.
I designed my son's resume though, and he just recently graduated and he got a really good job. So if you need it designed, and also I massage the content, of course.
Yeah, mine
Yeah.
is more the layout. I've gotten had several different HR people look at it from a layout perspective, and the layout is fine. It's more the content. I'm underselling myself on my resume, and so because I'm a person that I don't feel I have to boast, but in order, like Jim was saying, because things are so different now, you have to boast on your resume to even get into the door. Whereas
Yeah.
before it's like you get the interview and then you boast about yourself in the interview, but now it's a
Yeah.
little bit different. So,
Well, people are getting so many resumes that they're overwhelmed by them. So to make
yeah,
it stand out, you've got to do all of these things that you did. And I remember when I left Citibank, my resume just looked like I was like, went on basically shot down all manner of things, based on the kind of things, the numbers and the metrics that were in there. And it was like, oh, geez, Jim. But, I got jobs from
yeah,
it.
yeah. And I don't have good metrics. That's the thing. It's almost like I know what I need to do, but because I'm not a writer, it's hard for me to do it. So I really want to work with somebody who can do that for me and then get it
Yeah.
to that place.
Headhunters are good too. And that's where, oh golly, Erica is a headhunter.
Yeah.
Reach
And I
out to
work
her
with-
too.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
work with her as well, but I think for me, she gave me some good advice. Part of it is I didn't follow it because I'm not a writer, so I
Right.
really
Okay.
I need a ghostwriter.
Okay. Yeah.
It's almost like I know what I need to do. It's like, but I can't do it. So
Yeah.
I was like, I need a writer. I need a ghostwriter. But yeah,
Okay.
I'll reach out to Jen. I was thinking Jen, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, Jen's got the MBA in HR, so she's definitely a good contact for that. I think when it comes down to, we've asked Elaine, we've asked you, Travis. Anything you want to learn this year? You know
It's gonna be a
everything.
lot
You don't
more
need to.
React.
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
think the
React, and
panel
just
stuff's
learning,
going to be
more
good.
marketing.
Marketing. And I hate marketing. I can't talk it.
In what way?
I zone out.
In what way, Travis? What are you talking about? Marketing.
Just like so this year with my business for Gravity, we're using Ellipsis. Well, we have been using Ellipsis for like the past year or so, and they're going to be coming in kind of serving as our chief marketing officer. So they're going to be setting like KPIs and performance goals that we're going to be reviewing frequently and trying to hit and stuff. And so for me, it's like trying to like pick up a lot of that knowledge, trying to understand it more myself so I can drive a lot of it, and just honestly learning how to run a business more. Like in the past, I've just like kind of let it coast because it's never really. I have a salary job, so it's not like my primary income, so I'm not concerned about how much it makes. Like I post about it. I did a year in review where I'm fairly transparent about the numbers and everything. The business did like $225,000 last year, so like it's time to take it serious because it's making a significant amount of money.
Yeah. But how do you decide how much of your money to put back in investing back into the business and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Like, do you start growing more? Do you start adding more solutions to your product? That kind of thing too. Yeah.
For me, and that's.
Well, for me, looking at your marketing change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your whole thing that you did with Ellipsis last year, I think probably substantially changed your numbers.
Oh, absolutely.
I think. Yeah, because I can
And
see
just
it.
like as
I
we
mean-
continue to go every year, we've done automatic renewals from the start. So just as we sell more, Like for
Yeah.
me, it's not necessarily getting more customers through the door. It's how can we drive the average customer revenue up?
Yeah.
How can we get
Yeah.
them to the higher tiers? You know?
Yeah.
Right.
How can we build up the product suite so it meshes together well to get people to buy all the products, not just one of the products? Like that's the kind
Which
of
is
stuff
probably,
that
we have
we're
the same
trying
issue
to-
with Gravity Forms. How do you get people from a basic license to a pro or elite? And how do you reduce churn? You know, how do we keep the people instead of having them just come in and cancel within a week and just keep the product for a year?
And then on the
For free.
flip side for me, it's like, hey, I've got people coming in because they're looking for like a fillable PDF solution for WordPress, but they don't use or have even heard of Gravity Forms. So how
Wow,
can we,
you're kidding me.
So how can we get them onto Gravity Forms at the same time? And then upsell them on, let Gravity Forms work on upselling them into a paid license.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to tell you, I had a really interesting experience this past year with a vendor. They were trying to get into L'Oreal big time, and they literally gave us a year's worth. Not saying you didn't have to do it, but something to think about. They partnered with us for a year in like 3 different divisions, and our team was one that took advantage of it for a year, and total support on top of that to get in the door with the company. So it would be interesting for you to, like you were saying, they're looking for something, you have it. How can you get them in to get and start really using it, and then they don't want to leave? And so that's something to think about as well, because
Well,
the
that's the
7 days.
goal is to try to get that partnership that we have with Gravity Forms. Like, let's start giving free Gravity Forms licenses to these people. That's just like no add.
Oh, you mean like the starter license?
The starter license.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Then, like, I'm giving you this qualified lead because I've already convinced them on something that gets them into the platform. So now all you
Yeah.
need to do is upsell them because
Yeah.
people that use Gravity Forms need more than just Gravity Forms itself.
Oh, yeah,
They
always.
need some sort of add-on, especially with
Yeah.
something like a PDF solution. Generally, people are doing contracts. They need signatures, which comes in the highest Gravity Forms plan. So I basically handed you a customer that's going to instantly upsell to $259.
Yeah.
Gimme, gimme,
And and the other thing we learned was that, and you probably hear this, percentage off or discount off actually helps too with that initial enrollment, because the whole thing is you want to grab them in, get them really using the tool, and then once they're using it, they won't let go of it because they're in there. And this vendor was Content Square, and they're kind of like the counterpart to GA. It's almost looking at GA data, but in a slightly different perspective. And the only reason why we didn't really go with them was because the variant between how they look at GA numbers and how GA numbers show up was too great. So if they would have closed that gap, that bell curve between their variation of the numbers, we probably would have kept them, because it allows us to look at our site a different way versus just saying these are the returns that GA is telling us. We was actually to really focus more on the customer journey within the site and how they were maneuvering through the site, that type of thing. So, and that probably was the biggest reason why. But their implementation for us was great. Their continued support, we did monthly calls with them, was excellent, type of thing. So yeah, I would say, and to me, the 7-day, 14-day trials don't work because they're not long enough.
No.
They're not long enough to be effective.
Which is why the
We do
approach
30-day.
we've taken is we don't offer a trial, but we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Yeah.
And like I don't want to go for those price-conscious consumers that, like, if there's a heavy discount up front, that they would take the leap. I would rather sell them on the value I'm providing and how much money you're going to save by spending $249 a year on this license. I'm going to save you all this time processing documents by automatically generating those documents for you.
But you have to. That's all well and good, but also think about what Microsoft did for a long time. Also, when before they went cloud based, and even now, there's always a discount with the change. Even they do it. Even the majors do it because they know that is a way to attract in. Now, I'm not saying, and even some of the larger contracts we have signed with our vendors, they have given us a discount because they know long term when we re-up, they're going to get more value from us. And that just happened with our support queue. We're using a secondary support team, and we've been with them for 2 years. And each year we incrementally increased the number of hours until this year we doubled the number of hours that we have with them. So in this model, when you're talking about these particular type of customers, and you don't have to offer it to everyone, but those that you see the real potential for it to be valuable, it may be worth the look. And you might need to come up with several different models to attract those long-term, like you said, because from an e-commerce perspective, the way we look at it is we know we have our guaranteed customer that we are trying to increase their cart value. That's one type of customer. But also at the same time, we know there's a lot of people who are coming out of college, out of cosmetology school, that we want to get them now so we can get them and be loyal over time. So you might need to think about it from not just a one-pronged approach, but a multi-pronged approach. It's like our customers today that we have who are actively, we know they're actively using our product. How can we get them to do more? And then for those people that, or even targeted areas, maybe it's a specific industry you want to go after. How do we get that industry to come in and get them? So then long term, they become that customer that we just say, okay, let's get them to increase their value with us.
I follow you because like GiveWP kind of does that. They have a lot of their donation-based plugins pop together in like a starter pack, and then they have like it's like some things are like these are the bare minimums you need to get started taking donations, and then they have like a much more involved one for like maybe you want to do multi-tier donations and recurring and some other stuff like that, or
which is what we offer in a sense. Like we have a bundle of all the products that's discounted, but we don't discount the individual products.
Right.
Yeah. But you do, because you say you do have a tiered level to your product. So in that, you even have a discount built in because it's the thing of you get the basic, a little bit more, lot more. This is your cost type of model.
We have
things like that.
We have two different things too. He's talking for Gravity and Gravity Forms too, and they're.
I'm mainly talking for Gravity.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
Yeah, the tiers are Gravity Forms, and the tier licenses, the way the bundles are broken down, all the payment processing is mostly in the middle tier, and then all of the things that require a lot of like hefty lifting are in the.
Well, Travis, have you looked at Adobe and how they market? Because I get emails from them, introductory, get you in for this cheap price, and I forget if it's for a year or 6 months, and then it'll be gone. And it's for new customers only. Yeah. Same with Spectrum. Yeah. Spectrum gives you the cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, but then you also get the people that are like your regular customers that get very annoyed by only giving out deals to new customers and not doing anything for the existing ones.
Yeah.
And that's a harder one. I mean, it's hard to keep a sell going with an existing customer.
And where it's a little bit different too is because we're building on top of Gravity Forms, and Gravity Forms is a paid product that ranges from $55 to $259. There's already kind of like a certain customer base built, like they're already expecting to pay a bit of a premium. And because we're also like a certified program or a certified product of Gravity Forms, there's also that premium there because you're getting quality.
Yeah.
And I can also tell that like my customers aren't totally price conscious because when we ran our Black Friday sale, it wasn't an automatic discount. We made the coupon code very clear and very easy to put in. But like it was split. Like half the customers just paid full price, even though they could have gotten 30% off.
Have you have you interviewed or done any research with your customer base? Because just market research. Have you talked to them? Have you, you know,
not in that sense, but like I'm doing support all the time, so I have a good feel
not,
of, you know.
not support.
Yeah, not support. Yeah, she's right. She's like doing user profiles, that sort of
But
thing.
also, like I've reached out to customers, like I've sent out stuff before, and I rarely get anything back.
No, I think, well, and this is where you can figure out what works best for your customer base. But I think you're at a point now where you need to do real market research with your customer base that you have, because the thing about that is what it's going to tell you is what they're wanting. Because it may be something that could be a simple service that is missing that could get them to the next level. But until you hear that from them and they tell you what that is, you will never know. You could just keep guessing, you know, because if you're seeing your customer base is not price conscious, then there's something else that is driving them. So what is driving them? And then also the other thing is when you do real market research, there's always a reward. The reward may not be a discount. The reward may be you get more support hours. That could mean more to them than anything, you know, type of thing. So when you think about your marketing, you say you're working with a marketing firm right now, right?
It's not a huge firm. It's a small, like 5-6 person agency. Yeah, but yeah.
It doesn't matter how big it is.
But up until now, they've just been doing like spot work for us, like some content marketing work and like keeping track of like that. But they're going to be taking on a more full, proper marketing role this year.
Okay, and if they're going to do that, ask them what is their marketing research plan for you, because that should be the basis for a lot of the things that they establish. Like you said, they're going to be doing KPIs and all, and they're going to be coming up with your marketing strategy. What are they basing that marketing strategy off of? And how are they going to be communicating with your customer to get feedback? Because support tells you what needs to be fixed, what they want enhancements on, but it doesn't tell you what is driving your customer base. And so even our company, we just sell shampoo, but we do annual market research with our customer base to help them understand, to get the idea what's really driving them.
Well, I mean, if you're, like you said, if you're trying to create like starter kits to get those kids and, you know, the folks coming out of cosmetology school, what do they need? What do they need immediately out of the gate? And what do they also need to grow their business later on down the road? And so that gives you one really good, like I call that like a user story. That gives you one really good user story of one particular kind of client. And that's kind of what for marketing research would do, is it would give you a user profile of multiple different tiers of our customers and what they need, as opposed to not just how to fix the things that are broken and the things they'd like to work that you have right now, but exactly what they need.
But we do a lot of that just like through those interactions through support. Like sometimes it's like, hey, like even through pre-sales, like, hey, we're looking for X, Y, and Z. And sometimes it's we are marketing ourselves wrong. Yeah. Like I keep track of all that. And sometimes like in these support conversations, like we fix their problem, and then we start to have a conversation about like they start gushing about like, hey, like this product is awesome for X, Y, and Z, and we start having a conversation about it. And so it's been somewhat organic market research, but we never like sat down just because this has been a side thing for me. I've never like I gotta pick and choose what I'm doing.
Yeah, you know, and then also, but the other thing is that once you do those enhancements, how do you go back and resell those enhancements that you've done? And that's the other part of it, because you, like you said, you're having conversations, you're hearing about things, you're making changes, but how are you reselling that as a differentiator between you and the next person? So and that's where the marketing research and marketing step comes into play, because when we knew, for instance, we knew we need to revamp our website. I was saying that since day one I came in the door. We needed to revamp our website. It was dated. And so we partnered with a company that did our app. They did a significant change to our app. They did some of the initial market research for us. And like Jim was saying, we kind of knew who our customer was. We knew we had 3 types of customers, but then we broke them down a little bit further.
So as we do these new enhancements or changes in our environment, it allow us to be able to sell it. So one of the changes that we made significantly on the site was how do we enroll new people to shop, because you have to have a professional license to shop with us, or you have to be a student that's enrolled in school to shop with us. And so we changed the how do we enroll. We went from a 3 to 5 day process down to a 15-minute process, all online. But that significantly helped us because we knew that if a customer shops in the store and in online, we can double their cart value with us, their spend with us. So that's the type of thing that market research will help you get to. And since you're bringing on a marketing firm, I would really push them on that piece of the puzzle, because I would submit that if you've been working with them for 2 years now and you haven't done it and they're coming in and building KPIs, there's going to be a miss.
Well, and just to give more context, like it started out with like the end of 2019, starting with them doing just a general audit and strategy of where the business was, how it can be improved. From there, we implemented a lot of what was suggested, like we revamped the website, new copy, implemented content marketing. And that's kind of what we've been going along with, because up until now, they haven't offered a more full service. It's just kind of been like, hey, here's this initial audit, and here's how you can work off of it. So now it's more, what they're offering is like it works in 6-month cycles, where like at the start of the cycle, it's going to be like a fresh audit, fresh strategy, like based off what we did, here's where we need to go now. And then building KPIs off that. And this is also a new offering for them too. So it's still trying to figure out what that whole process is.
Yeah. I would still say push them on the market research.
Yeah.
and
that's also from like being a certified developer of Gravity Forms is also equally pushing Gravity Forms to do market research.
Exactly.
And supplying me with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I know one that's coming up that I've noticed. Just in the last week in pre-sales, we've gotten an upturn in user registration learning management systems. The combination of that and being able to accommodate, membership sites, basically schools is what it is, and being able to handle like grading, doing all of that stuff that has to happen as part of that. And most of those are form driven. Yes, a lot of it is part of the learning management suite, but there's a large portion of it that actually is driven in a Gravity Form sort of way, and not a bad area to market. So
and especially for conferences, when you think about all the thousands of conferences that were canceled that had to go digital, that didn't have it built in, like for our company, we went from, hair care is very tactile, so we went from being in-person tactile type of conference to virtual, and we had no way to get registration for people. It was like, everybody say do Zoom, do WebEx, do all of these things, but there was no way to say, oh, I'm going to register, I'm going to pay, I'm going to get my information, and then I'm going to log in. And there's a big gap there, very much so.
Well, like 3 completely different kind of businesses too is like, one of the first things that happened was all the folks having to do pickup, order online and pickup, of any kind of thing. Whether that was groceries, whether that was, goods and materials or food or medical or pharmacy, all that kind of stuff is that you got to validate the person is who they say they are. You've got to validate that what they're ordering is what they want to order. And then you've also got to arrange and set it up so that they can do a pickup. And there's enough lead time in between when they order it and you give them a time window for pickup that it can be actually pulled and picked for them to be able to do so. And all of that can be automated through a form system of some kind. And then you've got like your schools, you got your conferences, you got your event registration. That is huge because all that kind of stuff. So all these windows of opportunity. Okay, guys, we're at like 8:00. I think we can probably wrap it. Yeah, I think we've handled the. Let me put this back on the screen real quick. Where is it? There it is. Haha. So I knew it was in there somewhere. So in 2 weeks, we are having our. Hang on. Come on. Up here. Just do it there. Little button. We're doing our next Ask Us Anything on May 19th. In 2 weeks, we'll be here. 6:30 to 8:30.
May 19th.
Oh my! I'm sorry. January 19th. Good Lord. Where the hell did May come from? I have no idea where I was looking at when I typed that. That's January. Ignore that. So, okay, that tells me get that off the screen as fast as possible. All right. Next Ask Us Anything is in 2 weeks on January 19th. So, I think I was really trying to get 2021 over with as fast as possible. I have copied the information from our chat. We definitely have the main chat's going to be in the YouTube, and I'm going to copy the stuff out of our private chat, which was everything else. I'm copying that right now. And we will be here in 2 weeks. Thank everyone for coming tonight. Thank you, Sue, wherever you are out there, for dropping in for as long as you did. Thank you. I think you're the only person out there, Jason, who actually came and watched our video tonight. So thank you for coming in and listening
Thanks,
in. Make
Jason.
sure you come back in 2 weeks and actually join the call next time. So, well, actually, I'll let you come into the call. We got room. We have room for 10 people in here. So it's not like a Zoom call, and I do like to keep it a little more organized so we don't all talk over each other. But it works out well. Elaine, Travis, Michelle, thank you so much for coming again. You guys are wonderful. Love you to death. We miss you, Jen. Well, hopefully we'll see you next time. And let me see. Let's get our banners up. Let's see. Make sure that you visit our website, wptampabay.org. There's a list of all of our talks are on there, all of our upcoming meetups, all of our historical videos are on there. It's a really good resource. Use it. Make sure you like and subscribe to us on YouTube. There's a little channel down there. Click that big subscribe button. Click the bell to be notified of new video content when it's added. If you're on your iPhone, make sure you check all notifications and not just personalized notifications. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And I'm going to pop off the video now. And everybody stay on that are here. I'm going to drop you into quiet chat, and then we'll come back in again real quick. Okay? Let me find the banner. Where's the video? There's the brand video. There it is. Okay, playing. Thank you for watching our recorded session from WordPress St. Pete Meetup. We meet twice a month on the first and third Tuesdays in downtown St. Pete at the Suncoast Developers Guild. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up in YouTube and be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new videos are added. Find out more about WordPress St. Petersburg at our website at wptampabay.org.